Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Dorla Aparicio, and I am a group piano teacher teaching in Cleburne, Texas. And I love to come here at least once a week to talk to you about group piano teaching with another teacher. And today we have Jennifer Tuck. Jennifer, if you can hear me, go ahead and turn your camera and your mic on. There you are. Beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jennifer, please go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know where you live, where's your studio, and anything else you want to share with us.
All right. Well, good morning. My name's Jennifer Tuck. I have a studio called Tuxedo Studio, just as kind of a play on my last name being Tuck. And I am in a small mountain town in Idaho called Salmon, Idaho. And I also teach online in Zoom.
Awesome. Idaho. So are you you said a small mountain town. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Wow. So is it hard for you to fill your studio because of that?
It can be because we have this community is small to draw from to start with, and there are many activities for the kids here already, and it's the same kids that are in everything. So the kids that are going to come to piano are probably playing hockey or soccer. They might be in dance. They may even be in rodeo, 4-H. We have all the activities for the kids here, but it's
Everything.
the same kids. And so we have to make sure that we don't burn the kids out, and also that we are able to keep them going when they're going to step out and do another activity. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So before we talk about specifically your group classes, tell us how you became a piano teacher, music teacher.
Okay. So when I was in college, I actually was a voice major, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a voice studio. And then the first studio that I was hired to teach in, they said, we're going to need you to teach piano too. And I went, oh, I mean, I've played piano since I was a child, but that wasn't my main focus. So I had to work super hard, and that school was a Yamaha school. This is back in the 90s. And so I had to work very hard to get my piano skills up to where they should be. For a piano teacher should have them, to be an effective teacher, more than proficiency we have for college, but getting it where it needs to be. And so I went through that whole Yamaha training and certification. And so that got me started into teaching group piano from the beginning. So it's always been there. And I've had different seasons where in my own studio, I did teach group, and then I've had seasons where I didn't, depending on, what was happening in my life at the time.
Okay. So now that you have your own studio, I'm assuming you've been teaching for many years now.
Yes, 28.
And 28.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you transfer that same Yamaha concept of teaching in groups to your studio?
Yes, and it worked really well for me as a vocalist because there's so much ear training involved in singing for all the time, in which I love about Piano Pyramid because it's following that same style. You need to be singing as you play. It works beautifully together. We want to develop a holistic musician that is functional and can do many things. And so if you have a student that their focus is mainly piano, they still should be able to sing. They should still have good ear training. And
Yes.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Singers need to play piano.
I always say, if you can sing it, you'll be able to play it.
Right. That's right.
On any instrument. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, because it's in you now. It belongs to you now. You can produce it. Yes, definitely.
Right.
So how do you handle then the same kids that are doing all these activities in your town coming into your studio? Do you have a lot of absences, or how do you work with that?
Right. I know I'm going to have absences because, like I said earlier, I have a smaller community to draw from. The same kids are involved in everything. I would say the kids I have here are some of the sweetest and one of the most wonderful. I love all of my students. I've always loved my students, but these students here are really, really wonderful. They just are, but they're busy. They're so busy.
Mhm.
So I have to really keep that in mind, okay, what's a realistic amount of practicing for them with all that they have going on?
Mhm.
How can we help them to grow? How can we keep them moving forward? And knowing they're going to go in and out. Yes, there's going to be absences. So uh, hockey is pretty big here in our town. So I have students that are going to take off and they're going to do hockey, but so are a lot of other activities. And so I just work with them offering more than one class. Piano Pyramid allows me to have different levels mixed together and different ages. And so if they can come on a Wednesday because they have basketball or whatever, they could come on a Friday. That really solves a lot of problems for me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that, of course. Um, so you have now a way that you are being able to incorporate their sporting events and everything else they're doing. But how do you handle the tuition part of it? How do you
Mhm.
do that?
Okay, so I have my students set up an automatic payment plan. They pay at the beginning of the month for the month, and they have to pay whether they come or not. But I have that option. If they let me know ahead of time that they know they're going to be gone, they have some games, whatever they have, they tell me ahead, I will offer them an alternative class. I can't offer all of them private lessons. That's just I would be not a happy teacher. It's important that I don't burn myself out so I can still be there for them, and they know that. So
Yeah.
that's a communication that I have no problem saying to parents. This is in your best interest that I can keep taking care of you. So here's what I have to offer,
Yes.
and see how it fits in for you. And they'll usually take me up on it. They'll usually just come to a different class, or they might just say, we're out for 2 weeks till we get through these tournaments. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. What they have
Okay.
paid, they've paid.
Okay. So there's no prorating or giving money back, none of that.
Once in a while, I mean, there's flexibility that we can, look at each family and go, okay, this particular
Mhm.
situation, yes, I will do something in that way, or I may credit them ahead towards something else. But generally speaking, no. If they have to give me enough notice. I ask for 3 weeks notice if they're going to stop lessons.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know some teachers
So
even
what
ask for
age
more.
group?
What age groups do I teach?
No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. That was my next question. What
Okay.
age groups do you teach?
I start them at age 4. I have taken training, and at times I've taught babies and I've taught toddlers. But at this present time, my studio I feel isn't yet set up for that, and so I start them at age 4 and through 7 in like the music for little Mozart. After that,
Oh, okay.
then they can start the piano pyramid. So, and
Oh,
yes. And so that first group too, if they come in and they're um, just getting started for the first time and they're 7 or 8, then I have a class for that as well, for them to kind of get
okay.
acquainted with the piano and before they can go into the pyramid. So, yes. But we can
Okay.
still use some of the piano pyramid sheets. Like we'll use the ones that have the notes for,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the pre-pyramid.
The
Yeah.
prep piano works
Yes.
well with them.
Uh-huh.
So do you teach at a commercial space or in your home?
Okay, so we purchased a house that had a detached garage and it's set up as a classroom. So it's pretty nice. I just
Oh,
like literally can walk across the yard and go to work. And so yeah, so they come to my home and go to the garage studio. And so we have lots of
awesome.
space in there.
So it's just one big room or do you have different classrooms?
It's one big room. there's a little waiting area. They come in, and I've got several digital pianos set up, and it's a classroom. So, yeah.
Sounds like what I have also, just one big room with a little waiting area. Yeah, that works
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the questions that I saw you answering in the group was about someone asked about recitals and how do you prepare your students? Because if your students are in group piano, we're assuming, and because you use piano pyramid also, everybody's playing the same piece at a different level. So when it comes time for recital, how do you prepare them? Do they all play together, or do they also play solos?
That's a great question. It depends on the time of year because I do like to showcase that what they can do because when they play together, it's beautiful. I mean, we got a little mini orchestra going on, right? So that's something that I want parents to hear. So at Christmas, I did move the digital pianos to a little venue, and they played in groups, and then some played in solos. This spring recital coming up, they will play only in solos because I also feel like that's an important skill for them to master. They need to be able to play as a soloist. And the parents love to hear their child, play a solo, right? So um, that's what we're
But
getting ready. How do we do it?
how are you preparing it? Yes,
Okay,
because they're in groups.
right. So within the class hour, I will have them having times where we're playing together. Then I will have times where they will go on headphones. I never wanted to be a teacher where they're on headphones the entire time. I know that that is a format that a lot of group teachers do use, a lab style. But for me, if I wanted us to experience making music together, I wanted live sound. That was important to me. And so that's part of our class time for sure. We're going to play through the piano pyramid stuff and ensemble. And then I let them have some headphone time where they can practice. Maybe they're working on something from the piano pyramid repertoire, or they're working on their solo piece or a technical thing I want them to work on. And so then we'll have headphone time, and I'll go around and listen to each student and give them a little practical help on their solo. And you know what? The students seem to really enjoy that. They like having some built-in practice time where
Yeah.
there's someone there to help them. Because at home they don't have necessarily anyone to help them, unless they have a parent that is a pianist, they just don't. And so having that built-in time it's kind of a little gift. They like it. So yeah.
They do. And then it's important for them to, after you've taught them what they're going to do, you teach them as a group, and then that time on the headphones, you can tell if they understood what you were just asking them to do. So they get to practice it right away. That's very important, a big part of having a successful group lesson, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yes, and I did look specifically for digital pianos where I could have two headphones where I can click in, easily without having to have a main huge monitor system. I can just walk around and plug right in, or if it doesn't have that, then I put a splitter on it so that I either if they're very young, then a parent will be sitting with them in class. I ask for that when
Okay.
they're young, but once they're at a certain age, once they're 8 years old, they can come to class by themselves. But I, come around and I'll listen to each one, and so you don't have to have a huge, expensive setup. It can be done with a splitter.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, tell me about your online lessons. Are you teaching group online also?
I'm not. I'm not opposed, and I still might. At the very start of the pandemic, we wanted to encourage our students that had just gone online for the first time, and so we did these special little group classes on Saturdays called sock hops, and they could come in their
Oh,
pajamas. We'd have a theme, and then we worked on specifically composition. So we'd give them a little writing assignment, we teach them a little something, and then the next week they could come and share what they wrote. And so that was super fun. And I might do something like that again. But right now, I'm just doing my privates, and they tend to be my students that I had from prior to my move that are more in the Boise area. I
okay.
have some throughout Idaho
Oh,
as well. they're all in the same time zone right now, which is really nice. Well, no, that's not true. North
Mhm.
Idaho is different time zone. But for the most part, I know online teachers dealing with time zones. I'm not dealing with that too much. So, yeah.
Okay. And the do you do any hybrid lessons? Like, you know, you're doing teaching group, but you have somebody online also.
Not currently. I did try that at the beginning of the pandemic, and I felt for myself, I personally didn't have the bandwidth. I was
Yeah.
just struggling, like to manage the technology and getting over to them and trying to engage them in the group. And I felt like it wasn't working for me as a teacher. But I might try it again. I'm not opposed to it. There's definitely some advantages to, some group learning for my online students that I would like them to have.
Mhm.
And I think they miss each other because my students that were in the Boise area before I moved to this little mountain town, they were in groups and they know each other.
Um,
So I'm
okay.
actually going to travel this weekend. I'm going to drive back to Boise, and it's going to be, for me, like a 5.5 hour drive, and I'm going to do a recital for those kids because I
Oh,
did it last
nice.
spring too, and it's like a mini reunion, and it's really neat. So I'm able to do that since mine are mostly, mine are in Idaho. So yeah,
Yeah. That is really nice that they have stayed with you online and that you're able to do that. That's really special.
it is special. Yeah, and it's because we want to get to be able to see them grow. And
Mhm.
that's an advantage that we have as private studio owners, that we can be
Yeah.
with students for years and really be a mentor in their life for a long term, and something that I really enjoy, those relationships with the students and the parents too. And so, yeah, it's fun to get to see them again in person. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the big question, what are you doing this summer with your
Yes. Okay.
students?
So I just debated, oh, am I going to do camps? Am I going to do classes? I went back and forth, back and forth. And finally, I decided, okay, I'm going to just offer classes in the middle of the week, 3 days, so they can take their vacations on their long weekends. And I'm going
Mhm.
to offer them two options. They could come Tuesday and Thursday, or they can just come one of them. And I've changed. I'm giving them a special summer tuition deal so that if they miss anything, they don't feel like they're being shorted, and they'll stay with looking at the big picture, like how can I take care of them through the summer? The last 2 summers I did
Mhm.
not teach, and we spent a lot of time in review in the fall. So I even had a little boy, and it was the sweetest thing. He said, oh, I don't want to take summer off again because it took me so long to remember things. And he told me that himself in December. So I thought, well,
That's
okay,
special.
it's out of the mouth of the kids. They want to keep going. So let's see what we can do. So I've decided to do themed classes. So kind of like what you might do in a camp, but we'll spread it out as
Mhm.
classes over the course of the summer.
Yeah, that's very similar to what I do. Um, Even though this year I'm going to offer a 4 hour 1 day camp to those who travel, so they only have to
Mhm,
come one
mhm.
day. But the themed that you're doing, that works really, really well, and everybody does the same thing, just at their level, but with that theme. That's so good.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do kind of a fun beachy theme for summer. So the
Mm.
younger kids are going to get a pirate theme, and the older ones are going to
Oh,
get
nice.
to work on their skills that they would need to play in a band. Functional musician, pianos.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll
Oh,
do
very important.
bands, little mini rock bands within the group. Yeah, should be fun.
Ooh, are you using electric guitars also?
You know, when I had my studio before, I had a larger studio and my husband was teaching a lot more. And so, yes, we would integrate, we would do blues things, and we'd come in and do jazz
Mm,
bands together. It was super fun. But now, he's teaching a lot less because he has a full-time job in IT. And
okay.
so I can't, I personally can't do all that myself, but great. Keyboards have different sounds. And he's
Yes,
encouraging me and helping me set up some jam tracks and record some things ahead of time so that we can play along with those. So that'll be really nice.
very
Yeah.
nice. What do you use to record? Do you use GarageBand or your Clavinova?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of old fashioned in that I like the notation. I like to see it all, and so I use Notion 6.
Ah, okay.
He has my husband. It's he comes it from a technology standpoint, being in IT and an electric guitar player. So he has a studio that he has the whole setup where has Pro Tools and things like
Oh,
that. So it's super
that
nice.
is awesome.
Yeah, so he'll record some tracks for me that sound legit. He might even lay down some of his electric guitar, which would be sweet. We'll see, but
Yes.
it's all time, right? How much time you have to do things, but it
Right.
is it's nice having him in house for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. Really cool. Well, Jennifer, before we say goodbye, is there anything that you want to tell the teachers that are on the fence about group piano? They're not sure it would work. I know we've had many teachers on Wednesdays sharing how it works for them, but do you have a message for those that are, "Oh, I'm not sure if it will work," or thinking that it has to work a certain way?
Right. I would encourage any teachers that are on the fence and are thinking about should I go this way? I would say do it, because what we want to do is help our students to grow, and we want them to not only be great at playing as the soloist, but we want them to be able to play with others and be functional musicians throughout their life. And so we want to set up those skills for them where they're playing in a group feels natural, and
Mm.
I think also their timing and improves, and then they have that pair motivation for practice. I really have a lot. My students practice. They want to be ready for class. They want to do well, and so uh, that's because we're in group. I can tell you that when my studio was only private, I really had problems with getting them to consistently practice. It felt like pulling teeth, and I put them in groups because they want to do well for each other, and they listen to each other, and they motivate one another. So I think playing in groups is really powerful. And so I would encourage teachers to do it, and you can definitely do it however is your way that feels good for you. You can,
Yes.
you can follow the lesson plans exactly as you've written them, Dorla. It will work, or they can add in some of their own favorite activities that they like to do.
Yes. Yes. Well, you're a prime example because you have all of my lesson plans for 32 weeks, but you take what you need and add what you want, and it still works well.
Yes, I would say that 3/4 of the class time is piano pyramid that I'm doing, and then 25% is just fun stuff I want to do with them. Also, being a vocalist, I'm coming from a singing. I always want them to be working in that way as well. So I have students right now that will be doing a vocal number, a group number where they will sing, a song and dance with ribbons. We develop their rhythm that way. So I mean, that's a fun activity that I just want to do with them. That maybe
Mhm.
nobody else, or they might have something else. I know some teachers love to do boom whackers or whatever.
Yeah.
There's room for you to do what you want to do that you think is the fun stuff that you want to add in. You can
Mhm.
tweak it however you want it.
Yeah. And it makes your studio unique,
Mm-hmm.
even if there's other people doing group piano, but what you're doing is unique and makes you stand out for those families that are looking for that type of lesson. So it's beautiful what you have created. And I love the name of your studio.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So thank you so much, Jennifer, for having this conversation with me today. Um, you know, when we are done today, will you add your website to the comments so
Sure.
everyone can visit and see your setup? It's really cool, all the information that you have on there. But thank you for encouraging the teachers and sharing with us how group piano works at your studio.
You bet. And thank you, Dorla. I really feel like you did the hard work for all of us and solved a lot of problems for all of us. And
Oh, thank you.
yes, I mean, what you've done, you've really poured in the hours, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer. My pleasure. All right, everyone. We will see you and next time with another teacher. And thank you once again, Jennifer. Bye-bye.
Bye.